In the previous of Captain America Symbol of Truth, Falcon's condition worsens, and Captain America comes face to face with the unintended consequences of his escalating conflict with the White Wolf. Nomad is willing to make the compromises necessary to take down the Black Panther's errant brother, but can Sam Wilson say the same? And what is Sam's old sparring partner Nightshade doing in Mohenda, anyway? Now let's talk about what we will be reading in this chapter. In this chapter, Captain America's understanding of his conflict with the White Wolf is flipped upside down when White Wolf unleashes an enemy from Nomad's past onto Mohenda's civilians. Sam Wilson's first priority is now stopping the onslaught from Dimension Z before it's too late, but at what cost to his allies? And without further delay, let's start. At the beginning of the chapter, we see Captain America and his companion in the city of Mohenda. A man tells the whole team that the government has bombed a hospital, and then asks a person if there were any survivors. Bathabile to Ianda that they have to save those people. They have to shelter and protect them from further shellings. Nomad says to Bathabile, how can they know if it was a trap? The government knew that they were here in Mohenda, and they can be doing all of this just to lure them out. Captain America says to the team that if it was a trap, then they will do exactly what the government wants them to do. They will fight them and will rescue the people that were trapped. Then he says to Ianda that whatever she asks of them, Captain America and the Nomad will do. Meanwhile, in the president's office, the general tells the president's White Wolf that the hospital bombing was successful. He further says that their soldier informed them that Captain America and his companions are on the way to save the people along with a small group of rebels, and that their forces were ready to ambush them. President White Wolf gets up and looks at the burning building from the window of the office, and says that everything will become beautiful after they were done with all this. He further says that he still feels a little guilty, and it pains him in his heart to his city in flames like this, even if it was all for a higher purpose. General says to the president that the heretic Skonland was about to turn this city into ruins. They were just trying to restore the city, so many of them already knew that something like this would happen. President White Wolf then says that was true, and now the important thing was to keep the vision in there and stand strong to it. This all will be over soon, and now it was time to end all of this. He orders the general to open the portals. The general hesitates and asks him if that was necessary. He says that their forces are enough to take care of the rebellion and capture Captain America. President White Wolf then tells him to do it, and that he should also inform the soldiers that if they can't capture Captain America alive, he will also settle for Captain America's dead body. Meanwhile, Captain America and his team were on their way to the hospital. As they approach the hospital, Captain asks his teammate where should he go. His teammates tell him to go towards the south wing. As they reach the building, Captain talks to Nomad, who was scouting the area to make sure that it was safe. Captain tells him that they were in the hospital and asks him if there was any enemy to look out for. Nomad says to Captain that everything was okay and he was now heading toward them. Captain tells him to hurry up as the situation in the hospital was quite bad. As the captain and the rest of the team start to remove the boulders, they soon find survivors stuck under them. Captain tells them to hold and says that they were to help them. He asks the survivors how many of them were down there. The survivor tells Captain that there were 20 people here as it was the most crowded area. He further tells him that the doctors were trapped on the upper floors, and they would need them. Soon, Captain America hears a voice which was calling for help. He at once flies towards that place. As he approaches there, he sees doctors who are trapped. Captain America says to them that they are rescuing the survivors on the down floor, and he will take them there and would give them first aid. He further asks them if there were any other people trapped elsewhere. One of the doctors says that most of their colleagues were evacuated before the blast, but some of them were missing. Captain America then takes 2 doctors with him and tells the rest that he will come back after taking these to safety, and that they are going to make it alive. As Captain America reaches the place where his team was, one of his teammates tells Captain that they have found a shelter which was under the hospital and some survivors were in it. But they need to hurry because that shelter won't be able to last long. But soon some sort of blast happens there and a boulder was about to fall over some survivors, but Captain America rushes there and saves them. Soon a portal opens and some creatures start coming out of it. Nomad, after looking at them, says that he hates it when he is always right about things. Captain asks Nomad what were these creatures, and Nomad tells him that these are the Frogs. From Dimension Z, they helped Steve in raising him in the past. Captain America punches one of the Frogs in his face as he was about to attack Nomad, and says that it doesn't look like they remember Nomad. Ianda says that these creatures must be White Wolf's new weapon, the Mutated. Nomad says that he wouldn't call them mutated. Instead, he would prefer to call them, at this Captain America says, babysitters. Captain further says that if White Wolf somehow has gotten his hand on the key to Arnim Zola's old ground, he can easily turn these things against them. He says all this while he was fighting the Frogs. The Frogs then turns toward Captain America and says something in their language about Captain. Meanwhile, Nomad tells everyone to get behind him, and Ayanda says to Nomad that she thinks that the White Wolf has got his hands on some sort of technical conduct, maybe something like a transmitter. Then she says to her teammates to get the civilians to safety while the enemy was distracted. Her teammate says to her that she can understand this technology, and now all she has to do is to figure out how the White Wolf opened the portal to summon these creatures here. And if she doesn't do that, then White Wolf may open another portal and summon more of these creatures, and then they will have to fight all of them. Ayanda says they will first have to get these frocks away from the civilian. By this time, Captain America notices something and tells his teammates that the frocks were only after him, so he will lure them out of this place. Nomad says to him that he is not going to face all of them by himself, right? Captain says that he has a plan and that he has called for backup. Soon, many birds come there and they start to attack the frocks. White-wooled soldiers who are also there see Captain America and they shoot missiles at him. Captain America sees them and starts flying straight above them as the missiles were about to hit him. Captain, while doing all of this, says that Tilda mentioned a signal transmitter, and White Wolf would never keep something so important laying on the ground, but White Wolf forgot who he was dealing with. Missiles miss Captain America, and they run into each other while Captain survives the attack. Meanwhile, on the ground, Ayanda and her team were fighting the frocks, and Ayanda's teammate tells her that the transmitter was just an amplifier. There was a much stronger signal coming from the Parliament building. Ayanda, after hearing this, says then they will destroy the Parliament building, and tells her team to move toward the Parliament. Meanwhile, Captain America was trying to find the transmitter, and after reaching a certain height he thinks in his mind that the air was getting thinner. But luckily, Captain America soon finds the transmitter. Meanwhile, in the Parliament, White Wolf's men in fear say to White Wolf that they have to evacuate the building, as the rebels were making their way towards the building, and they will attack the building any minute. But White Wolf says to the general that he should have faith and he should not flatter, at least not when the victory was just in their hands, and tells them they were almost there. On the other hand, Captain flew right into the transmitter, and with the help of his shield he easily breaks it. On the ground, the frocks started to act strange. Ayanda tells the captain that she thinks that they have done it, but Nomad says that he thinks this has only made frocks angry. They tell Captain to quickly come there and tell him that the portals were gone but the frocks were still there. Captain says that he was on his way, but at this moment everyone gets shocked when they see something. Nomad says to Captain that he has to see this. As the captain lands on the ground, he couldn't believe what he was seeing, because in front of him Falcon was standing. Falcon in waves of anger yells at Captain America and says that Sam Wilson abandoned him, and for that, he will have Captain's blood. In the next chapter, we will get to see Falcon arrives in Mohanda, delirious and rampaging from the effects of White Wolf's chemical attack. It's up to Captain America to save his friend, or to stop Falcon from hurting anyone else. In this heartbreaking showdown between partners, Sam Wilson must make a choice about who he wants to be, and what he is willing to sacrifice for the mantle of Captain America. And that's all for today, guys. Stay tuned to get more new videos. Stay safe and keep watching.